What's going on, guys? Jagira here, and today we're going to be doing a guide for the Aramusha updated for Season 5. Now, the Aramusha is a samurai hybrid introduced in Season 4, and his most noticeable trait is his blade blockade, an all-stance guard similar to the Conqueror and Warlord, but with the difference of that his only lasts for a short period of time, whereas the Conqueror and Warlord, they can stay in those for a little bit longer. So, let's jump into it. Now, aesthetically, I really do love the Aramusha. I'd say he's up there with some of the greatest looking heroes in the game. But in duels, he's not the strongest. Granted, he's not the level of Orochi, but he's not up there with Peacekeeper and Shaman, for example. He does do fairly well in game modes where you can use Feats. This is because the Feats, coupled with his kit, make him extremely powerful. Now, the Feats that I personally use and have had great success with are the tier 2 feat, Rock Steady. This is a passive. You basically can't be unbalanced. This means you can't be wall splattered, you can't be knocked down. If you're out of stamina and someone parries your attack, you're not going to fall down. Highlander with the caber toss. He grabs you and he tries to throw it, you're going to spring right back up and you can parry that incoming attack. It is beautiful. Now, your tier 3 feat, I use Sharpen Blade. Once you activate this, your weapons glow purple, and every successful attack will apply a bleed. Very, very potent bleed as well. Now, this buff lasts about 30 seconds. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. And it goes really well with your zone, because the Aramusha's zone is in two parts, the startup and then the unblockable. So, granted, you may have the startup blocked, but in a teamfight situation where it's really hard to pay attention to everything, they could be hit with that unblockable. And being hit with that unblockable will apply that bleed effect. And for your tier 4 feat, I usually use Fear itself. Oh, sorry about that. This is an AoE skill around you, and the enemies around you have lower stamina regeneration and lower defense. You put this with Sharpened Blades, you are doing a truckload of damage. Also, Fear itself allows your teammates to do extra damage to the enemies, so it's very, very potent. You use Fear itself with Sharpened Blades, you are basically going to be two-shotting a gladiator. It is insane. You guys are going to notice I missed out on the tier 1 feat. I really think this is for the situation at hand. So, for example, if you're going to be on Dominion and you want to go and clear point B a lot, you're going to want to be using body count. Is it body count? Yeah, body count. The one where you kill the NPCs. You kill the NPCs and you get your HP and your stamina back. Very, very good. That's if you want to really be clearing point B, because you know sometimes you get people who do want to clear point B and people who don't. So that's up to the situation. But then you may be a tribute player. You may love your tribute. Well, you're not going to want body count there, are you? You're going to want deadly. Now, what deadly is basically once you do an attack, this activates and it gives you a short little buff. And this buff will therefore increase your future damage before it goes on cooldown for a short time. And then it will activate again, obviously, once you attack again. So, my advice with picking a tier 1 feat is look at what game mode you're going to be in and just think of the situation. Like, do I want to be on a point where there's going to be no people? Like, do I want to cap point A, for example, and there's no minions on point A? Well, go deadly. You know, don't pick body count when you are going to be in, Tribute either, because obviously there's no minions in Tribute. So yes, guys, obviously just look at the game mode you're going into, think accordingly, and you'll find it very hard to make the wrong decision. We're now going to be looking at the Aramusha's movesets, and we're going to start off with the chains, Tempest and Tempest Alternate respectively. It may look a little bit confusing on paper, but it's very simple. It just boils down to this. If you do a side attack, you follow it with a top attack. And you do a top attack, you follow it with a side attack. That is it in its most bare bones basic form. So we're going to have a few examples here. We could do a left light attack, followed by a top heavy attack, followed by a left heavy again. We could have a right heavy, followed by a top light, then followed by a right heavy again. Or we could go left light, top light, right light. So there's a lot of potential that we can be doing with these chains. Now, when your lights are blocked, it stops you from continuing your chain. Whereas when your heavies are blocked, you can still continue your chain as long as you're using heavy attacks. So it's important to know this because you can also mix it up and really fake out your opponent. If they're expecting a light attack and go to parry it, but you actually use a heavy attack. And also just you can pile on more pressure if someone's a little bit more, what's the words I'm looking for here? Passive. You know, they're a little bit more scared to go for those parries, and you're piling on heavies. It can spook them. So you may be lucky, you may get a light attack in, but you know they're going to be blocking that next light. Just go for a heavy. May work, and if it doesn't work, you can still be doing your combo and piling on that pressure. So just quickly, we're going to be talking about rushing wind. And what rushing wind is, you can move forward, you press spacebar, and wherever your guard stance is, so top, left or right, you'll be doing an attack in that direction. But if you're in top stance, it does give you hyper armor, so this can therefore allow you to trade. This skill can also be cancelled by feinting it with the feint button, and it also counts as a chain starter. So for example, you do the top attack of rushing wind, just do a side attack and you can get that chain rolling. So we're going to be talking about blade blockade. This is the Aramusha's signature move, okay? When you activate it, you will go into an all guard stance, and if you block an attack during this time, you can choose to do any of the following punishes. Fury Unleash. As long as your guard stance is in the top section and you press the heavy attack button after a successful block with your blade blockade, you will get an attack which is an uninterruptible, and it does quite a bit of damage actually. Now, the one thing I will say about this is it's slightly inconsistent depending on the attacks that you have blocked with blade blockade. I have noticed, for example, that if I use blade blockade on a Nobushi's Viper Retreat, I can't get a Fury Unleashed. So keep that in mind, you know, sometimes you want to be looking out for these attacks which are going to be very fast recovery. You don't want to do a blade blockade on that. In fact, I wouldn't recommend using your blade blockade to block a light attack anyway. You'd get a much stronger punish if you go for a light parry. The next move we're going to be looking at is Ring the Bell. Now, this is the only one which confirms damage. Always, okay? You block an attack with your all guard, your light attack, you will grab an target and stun them no matter what they are doing. So you've got a Zerker who's spinning, you will stop them, and you will hit them in the head with the hilt of your sword, stun them, drain a lot of stamina, and do some light damage. Now, where Ring the Bell would probably be better than Fury Unleashed is because Ringing the Bell stops them no matter what they're doing. So, for example, like we just mentioned with the Zerker, if we was to do Blade Blockade, Fury Unleashed, yes, we would get the attack hit, but then we would also have the remaining spins of the Zerker zone hitting us. Whereas Ring the Bell will just counter that automatically. It's also very strong, Ring the Bell, against targets with hyper armor, such as the Berserker, such as the Shigoki, whose name I just forgot. So yeah, you really want to be looking at these situations. I'd say if you're against a Shigoki, you want to be doing a lot of Ring the Bell. If you're against pretty much anyone else who doesn't have a hyper armor, go Fury Unleashed. Twin Vipers. This is a rather unique one because I've not seen many Aramushas actually do this. You block an attack with Blade Blockade, you have your guard stance on the left or the right, you press heavy attack, and you will do an unblockable side attack. Now, the thing is, this skill can be parried, but what I've noticed is that so many Aramushas overlook this skill. A load of people forget the timing, and they get a little bit jittery and panicky. Also, you do have hyper armor, so they cannot stop you from doing this attack. And if it does confirm, it's also a chain starter. So it's very, very good, and it's one of these things that use it once, use it twice, but don't use it all the time because they will just start parrying it and they will therefore start punishing you. And finally, pushback kick. Now, this one's rather simple. Blade blockade once again, a guard break button, and you're going to kick the target quite a distance, drain some stamina. If they wall splat, you can get a side heavy attack into a confirmed top light attack. So that's very, very nice, but obviously that's only if there is a wall there. It's also very good at environmental kills because suddenly that ledge, which was pretty far away, has now become a lot closer. We're going to be talking now about the Aramusha's hero specifics. To start with, his infinite chains, which is Tempest and Tempest Alternate, you can finish those with a heavy attack finisher. How you do this is in the last direction you attacked. So for example, you did a left heavy attack, do a left heavy attack again. This will count as a heavy chain finisher, and it gives you extra damage as well. We already went over how Twin Vipers and Rushing Wind are chain starters, so just remember that, because you can apply a pressure on your opponents immediately after doing these attacks. Now the heavy chain finisher, which we just mentioned, you can soft feint that. Now what a soft feint is, it's not like a hard feint where you actually have to use the feint button. What it is you basically press a different button, such as where Centurion had a soft feint from a heavy attack into a guard break, Aramusha's got one, and this revolves around his heavy chain finishers. You can soft feint his heavy chain finisher by doing a light attack in a different direction. Now delay this as long as possible and you can really throw people off guard and catch them. But what I will say is that if they do parry this, they will get therefore the light attack max punish, which is obviously stronger than the heavy attack max punish they would normally get through parrying your heavy attack finisher. And also finally, you can cancel your Twin Vipers and Rushing Wind and the second part of your zone attack using the button to feint. Oh, and once again, talking about feinting and Twin Vipers, you can also soft feint Twin Vipers with your light attack. So you've done your blade blockade, you're doing Twin Vipers, you see they're about to parry your attack, you could do a top light attack and therefore just hit them in the head and do a little bit of confirmed damage that way. And to end the video, a few tips and tricks. Now, your max out of stamina punishes for the Aramusha. If you parry their attack and they fall over, your max out of stamina punish is a side heavy followed by a side heavy finisher on the same side. So you parry their left attack as they fall, you do a left heavy followed by a left heavy again, that's the chain finisher. That is a lot of damage coming their way. If you guard break them and you throw them and they fall over, it's then a side light followed by a heavy attack finisher on the same side. You can throw them against the wall to make sure the light don't whiff, but that's not always going to happen, so yeah, but still, it's a good thing to remember. We went over how Blade Blockade won't give you Fury Unleashed if you block an attack with it with fast recovery. Now, most attacks with fast recoveries are light attacks anyway. I wouldn't recommend doing Blade Blockade to go and get the punish for a light attack anyway. If you parry a light, you will be getting more damage from that parry than you would using your Blade Blockade on it. And this is a little bit of a point of controversy for me because I find Blade Blockade is a lot more of a risky move than parrying. So in my mind you should be rewarded more, but I can understand where some dilemma comes into that. So if you get against a target like an Nobushi, like an Orochi, who throws out loads of light attacks, just parry that light and your punish for that is a side heavy into a confirmed top light. One of the great things about Aramusha is the fact that he gets a top heavy attack off a heavy parry. This is incredibly powerful, not only because of the fact of you're getting a heavy attack off a heavy parry, but the Aramusha, it allows him to actually go into a combo, it allows him to get that chain rolling. This is very powerful. Obviously his light parry option is still incredibly powerful, but this makes Aramusha in this sort of weird scenario where the moment he parries, he can then apply pressure, but sometimes the tools aren't that good to really apply it with. It's, like I said, once again, a bit of a point of controversy with him for me. So yeah guys, the Aramusha is a very weird hero. I do enjoy the way he looks. I enjoy playing him in a 4v4 environment with Feats, because once again his feats are amazing. In 1v1 you more or less are just going to be looking for parries. Okay, you've got no real way to open someone up other than your zone attack, which after a while will become very predictable and can be parried. So yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway guys, I hope you did enjoy my guide video for the Aramusha for Season 5. If you did, please leave a like, that is greatly appreciated. And if you're new to the channel and you love the content, how about you hit that subscribe button to become absolutely awesome. A reminder, I also stream on Twitch. You will find that link in the description box down below. I also have a Discord, which you're all welcome to join. For the greatest quality of memes, for music, for chats, for banters, you'll find that link in the description box down below as well. Guys, I've been Jagira. All of you have been amazing for watching. And I'll see you all next time. Take care and bye bye.